Hey guys, welcome to Sopi Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para nos abrir. Sopi Studio é a plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde que está. Sopi Studio, powered by Qredits. Botiu ideia? Qredits educa e prepara abo para vir um empresário exitoso. De business plan, guia personal e préstamo para negócio até com 100,000 florin. Vira para mês donho com Qredits. Sopi. Passa na Sopi para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Com 7 localidades rond Aruba. Nós está cerca de Ibo. Sopi. SwingMasterz. Organizando events, conferences of weddings, mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of flat screen, SwingMasterz está claro para ser boa fiesta éxito. SwingMasterz. E agora, Sopi Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba, está apresentar.
Tarde, bom tarde! Welcome to nos viewers and listeners na FLORIN Mix. Maar hoe kan het nou weer? FLORIN Talk. Season 2, episode 4. Nos teriba un very special day awe. Passou naturalmente awe ta International Women's Day. Dus naturalmente nos tinko duna un gran pa bien na tour e ser femenino nang. Nos que avisa boso pa queda empower, queda grow, queda glow, queda inspire, queda learn e queda fuerte maneira que boso tá, boso não tem inspiration, at least seguro de nos vista. Dus keep doing what you're doing e te queda seguro boso po conta com support, at least seguro de é unang masculino que tem sinta aqui atrás. Dus pa bem o minha dia. Por esse motivo também, se você espera que Jennifer e Arlando vai ter awe, não toma day off, não segura a goza durante o dia. Dus não tá back outro simang sim, não tá outro simang. Dus awe, você vai ter agora aí minha pessoa presente awe e aqui rato me também introduzir co-host de avetari naturalmente com nos guest. FLORIN Talk, essa aqui é show de business podcast. Nós temos outro interessante tópico over the personal investment e personal financing. Nós temos, mais claro, também agradecer a nos sponsors que estão a plataforma aqui possível. Que é um sponsor Sopi Mix Studio, que é Sopi, SwingMasterz e Qredits. E naturalmente é um que está a FLORIN Talk possível. Está Monarch CPA LLC, the 21st Century Accountants. Dus welcome umbiamas na nos episode. Nós também começar com a introdução de nos co-host de avetari, que está meneer Randy Cruz. Randy, como vai?
Boa tarde. Tore oyente de podcast de FLORIN Talk. Avetari, bom menino. Nós temos outro programa muito interessante, com muita informação, que seguramente nós vai papar over, nós vai elaborar over. Lo vai ter hora com hopi informação e seguramente você não como oyente não seguramente lo sale beneficios disso aqui. Me quer não tem que dar muito mais de lo qual jeito a mencionar acaba de intro para bem na cada ser feminino aí foi você não me seguramente a enjoy vos dia você não enjoy vos não dia você não inspiração seguramente para ser masculino não. Dus dia, verdade, da International Women's Day, pero nós estamos celebrando o ser feminino todo dia de aia.
Alright, wow, inspiring na sim, on. Sim, we não se over the personal investments, nós temos maneira que está especializada em área aqui, dus nós estamos muito agradecidos que está cerca de nós awe. A la vez nós também switch over também na idioma de inglês, que está vai estar que vai liderar o podcast. Good afternoon, Jorrit. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
No, it's absolutely our pleasure to have you in our episode. I'm sure you're going to be bringing a lot of interesting information regarding this topics. This topic not only related to specifically how it should be dealt with during the current and post-COVID pandemic, but also in general information about personal investing. So we are looking forward to all the valuable information that you're going to be providing to our viewers and listeners. Before we delve into the materials, I think it would be interesting if you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So, shall I start all the way at the beginning?
Sure.
All the way in the beginning.
Yeah, all the way in. So I was born and raised in Nijmegen in Holland, near the German border. So, and then I did there my high school. Then I went to do my studies in Groningen, which is all the way in the north. Did my economics. Afterwards, I went to work, first in The Hague, at the Mees Pierson.
Okay.
Which is, you could call a leading
For sure.
player in the private wealth management.
Yep.
And then at some point in time, I changed to the institutional money management, institutional investing. At SNS Asset Management, which was back then the institutional investor of what was back then the SNS Real Group, which was a medium-sized Dutch bank insurance company. Learned a whole lot there. Did quite a lot of different jobs like portfolio management, analysis of companies, sector analysis. I also, at some point in time, I went to do governance. So voting more on for what we own stocks of companies, and then when you're a shareholder, you're entitled to go to the annual general meeting, the shareholders meeting, and to vote there.
Right.
And we were a so-called sustainable asset manager. So we also voted on things like remuneration of the top management. How do they deal with environmental issues? How do they deal with supply chain issues related to, for example, child labor? How do they deal with all kinds of social issues? So that was one of the things that I did. But then later on, the company got in some kind of trouble.
Okay.
And actually, it's no longer in existence as a whole company.
Right.
So that was a good time to leave. And then I started my own company doing company analysis, investment themes.
Okay.
And at the same time, I also started working as a teacher.
Okay.
So, and that's basically the combination I'm still doing.
Okay.
Only on Aruba.
Right, because that was still in the Netherlands, and then you decided to move to Aruba at some point in time.
Yeah.
Which was how long ago?
That was 2013, so around 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I decided to move, and because the being a teacher is a very nice job here. It's more, the scale is smaller. I like the people. I like the weather.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The weather.
Yeah, and I like the freedom. I like I like the ambience.
Okay.
Quite a lot. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And at the same time, I still do my analysis.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, very interesting. You
Yeah.
you still have the best of both worlds, actually.
Yeah. It's a very good combination because I can do an analysis, and also use that in classes.
Okay.
The knowledge that you learn and analyzing companies, analyzing financial statements, analyzing also macroeconomic themes. You use that I can use that in the classes. Yeah.
And is there a difference if we compare the local market to the international market, coming down from a rather big country in the Netherlands versus Aruba in this case?
And you mean the market, the financial market?
Yes.
So what I noticed is that in Holland it's fair, and actually also in industrial world, in the US also, in Germany,
Yes.
France, people are very much used to investing in global securities, and that is here not so much. It's a little bit strange for people. People are a little bit more focused on the local market, which is fine in and of itself. But it's also important, I mean, we come to that later,
Yes.
that people learn to diversify.
Right.
And to that extent, it could be important that we spread the word that, hey, there is also more available than
There are more alternatives
than
out there.
alternatives. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously let's start with the basics. Let's start with the foundation. What can you tell us about personal investments?
Okay. Okay, that can be a long story. It can tell a whole lot of things. The basics is, of course, that you know how to diversify.
Okay.
Diversifying will when you diversify well. When you have a portfolio, you have some assets available.
But personal investments in this case would be specifically your funds that a person has available to either
Yeah, you
save,
can save it. So yeah,
or invest.
Yeah, you can save it. So what you see on Aruba is that many people have their money on the bank. And
Correct.
everybody knows that at this point, that used to be a good investment because you used to get
Correct.
a decent
Yeah,
interest rates.
yeah. The
long time ago.
savings, the time deposits, they used to yield very good numbers.
Yeah,
But time has changed.
time has changed.
Oh, yeah.
That's absolutely because what did you get now? I think like 1%, maybe 2%.
I think sometimes even less.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have inflation
Mm-hmm.
really running high now. So in real terms, you're getting you can lose money if you don't do anything. So that's why it's important for people to know how to diversify.
Yeah,
So
let me just we go and explain that what is meant with that. So what happens is, let's say for example that you leave the money in a savings account and it's yielding 1%, right? But inflation in Aruba for a specific year happens to be, let's say 3%, right? That means that the value of your money that you had 1 year ago is 3% more expensive. But the same money that you're saving is yielding only 1%. So you're actually going backwards 2%.
yeah. So in terms of purchasing power, so your real money will grow in nominal terms, but the purchasing power of that florin that you saved will diminish with a couple
Correct.
of percent. And you see now that in the US, inflation is running like 6 to 7%. So that's really high.
Due to the global supply chain, among other things.
Yeah, supply chain issues. Also, commodities are really high. This whole thing with, of course, Ukraine
Right.
situation doesn't help
Right.
because they're boycotting each other in terms
Right.
for oil and gas, and
Yep.
also Ukraine is one of the largest wheat producers.
Yeah.
So wheat is going really through the roof.
Yep.
So those issues, and there also has been a lot of money printing in the last couple of actually since the COVID crisis. The governments spent a whole lot of money which they didn't own. So the central banks printed a lot of new money. It's called quantitative easing, but actually it's from money printing.
Right. That's globally.
That's global. Yeah, that's global. So the Federal Reserve did that in the Federal Reserve in the US. The ECB, the European Central Bank, did it in Europe. The Bank of England did that. In Japan, they did it. So globally, fiat, there's a lot of money printed.
Yeah.
And that was handed out to the people to survive and to the small
Correct.
businesses to survive. But now all that money is just, is going
Floating around.
Yeah, floating around. And people started buying, things to survive. But also, easily it goes into things like commodities again, oil prices. But you see now also the precious metals moving. So gold and silver are doing quite well now. I mentioned wheat already. Also, of course, real estate went through the roof.
Yep.
As in Aruba, it's relatively affordable still, but when you look in the US,
We can debate that.
Relative.
relative.
It's all relative.
Well, I compare, of course, with the situation in Holland, where I know the real estate market quite well. It's completely berserk. What you
It's even crazier than Aruba.
It's totally crazy. It's totally crazy. And the thing is, it's not affordable for the average man. A house in Amsterdam or in Utrecht is no longer affordable. So that can also create all kinds of, in the end, it could create some social problems. If you only have very rich people are allowed to live in a city and,
Right.
and So, coming back to the issue.
Going back to to diversification you were mentioning.
Yeah. So it's important that you as an individual that saves some money, that you don't leave all the bank cash at the don't leave all your money in the bank for at a saving deposit, which you won't in the end. You will lose in terms of purchasing power.
Yeah.
So it's important to diversify. Now, what are in general the asset classes that you would diversify to?
I think that would be important to note.
Yeah. So let's say in the classical theory about personal finance, you would mostly look at stocks and bonds. Stocks and bonds, but also real estate, which is of course a very important component of an average person's wealth.
Right.
But also you can start your own company. You can make an interest in some local company.
Right.
That's also a possibility. Let me see. You can also. It's not a bad idea to diversify some of your portfolio into precious metals. Certainly at this point in time, when inflation is rampant.
But how would you do that?
Yeah. So there are several possibilities for that. You could just find someone and buy a bar of gold.
Okay.
Or some coin of gold. But that's not very easy, and you can,
right.
Yeah,
exactly. So that hence the question.
Yeah. But that's the most safe thing. If you want to have absolutely, if you want to store your wealth and you want to know it's with you, right? And nobody will ever take, no government can ever tax that or whatever. Then of course the best thing maybe is to buy a coin of gold.
Okay.
It's just safe. Nobody can take it away. That's actually the reason also that gold. Many people don't know that in the 1930s, we're in a kind of a similar monetary environment. And then in the US, they forbade gold. People are no longer allowed to have gold. They had to give it to the central bank. Of course, who knows if you have some bar of gold in your cellar. So certainly not everybody did it. But it's an indication of how valuable this precious metal can become.
Because gold actually stood the test of time, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so gold is as old as the Romans used gold and silver coins. It's throughout the Middle Ages. It's as old as mankind, and it has ever been a good, safe store of value. Yeah.
Okay.
But I wouldn't recommend putting all your money in gold, because then again you have to diversify.
That's the key word. Diversify is meaning split your money within different areas.
Yeah.
But we're not taught that. We're not taught that as individuals here, because I think that's one of the criticism of the not only the educational system as a whole. Not only in Aruba but also in the US, that we're not being taught how to budget and or how to invest.
Yeah.
Unless you do it on your own.
Yeah. I think that's true. It's important that people learn from a young age how to handle money.
Right.
Just to set some aside. Don't spend everything. Set some aside each month.
Yes.
And invest it. Yeah, save, invest. Yeah,
Save
and also and diversify.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
And here and there, donate some as well.
That's and spend
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so you mentioned the 5-6 different classes of diversification that is possible.
Yeah. So also there are other possibilities. There's of course these days you have. You can diversify into foreign exchange. So you can not. So actually, the Aruban florin is de facto more or less a dollar.
Exactly.
It's linked to the dollar. But you can think about Swiss francs. You can think about Norwegian kronas. You can think about Japanese yen, some euros maybe. That's a way of diversifying geographically.
Right.
And also these days you have of course Bitcoin.
Right.
Bitcoin or other cryptos.
Crypto.
Yeah.
And NFTs are very popular now.
NFT, very popular. Yeah.
And
again, it's very volatile, so don't put too much in there.
Right.
But maybe an allocation of 5 to 10% isn't a bad idea.
Yeah, because one of the things about Bitcoin and talking about those areas is that it's in essence risky, or that's at least the mindset that there is out there. So, do you have any experience based on that?